Hello and welcome back. I am here with my good friend Tracy.
I am here with my beloved friend Amber.
And this is the Road to Tar Valon. Today we are going to be doing something a little bit different and talking about the Rings of Power.
I think this should be the Detour series.
The Detour series. I like that. I like that. Indeed.
We can't be kept on main roads. We need side adventures.
Many side adventures.
Many.
And if you like this type of thing, if you're one of our listeners, let us know on various social media if this is something that you would like us to continue doing.
Mm-hmm. Because we have opinions about pretty much everything.
We do. I mean, I'm just, right now, like, I'm so full of content myself. I'm watching Rings of Power. I'm watching House of the Dragon. I'm listening to various podcasts, YouTube channels about Rings of Power, about House of the Dragon. And it's
You're
just
everywhere on this.
Yeah.
I love that.
I still haven't gotten the book Babel by R.F.
Right.
Kuang that I've been waiting on for
I know. So long.
far too long.
Far too long.
Who knows? Maybe it'll show up someday. Waterstones. I hope this doesn't tarnish any opportunity we have as a business partner in the future.
Right. So I shouldn't say get your shit together?
Yes.
Okay. I won't say that.
But I think, the UK Post is going through some strikes right now. So power to the people.
Yeah, I'm for that. I'm all right with a little delay in things if it gets people something that they need that makes our lives better.
Yeah.
You know? And I know you feel that way
But
too.
for them spelling my address wrong after I provided it correctly.
Right.
That's
Boo.
a different issue.
Boo. Shame on you. Get your shit together. That time I said it.
Yeah, but since I'm not reading,
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening. And lots of time in the morning during my dog walking adventures to fill my brain full of all things Rings of Power, all things House of the Dragon. But today we're going to be focusing mainly on Rings of Power.
Yeah.
And there is just this is like a heavy amount of characters.
Yes.
And this isn't something that should usually bother me because I'm a Wheel of Time reader. So like I can cope with that, but it does take a little time to get adjusted to who is who, the names, especially within fantasy settings, because the names are always, kind of out there and weird. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in some ways it's very similar to like reading for history because like you'll have 15 gazillion Louis or Henrys or whatever. And in this one, it's like they're just unusual. So it's hard to remember who is who.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got the elves, we've got the Harfoots, we've got the dwarves, the humans, and then some kind of like unknown
stranger.
Like there's a stranger. We don't really know what his story is. We've got the orcs and this elf that's hanging out with the orcs, Adar. So yeah, there's like a whole lot to explore here. And I'm kind of like, is there any grouping of these species that you're kind of identifying with more than the others?
Okay.
Okay.
No. No. In fact, I'm actually really struggling to connect with this show at all. That was why I was like, I have opinions.
No, be unabashedly honest, and I'm here for all the opinions.
I know.
So
I love
okay,
that.
you can't connect. Would there be something that they could change that maybe would help you connect to these characters that you're removed from?
I think there are too many characters with too many kind of like almost one-dimensional purposes. And I think it kind of has to be that way, if that makes sense. Right now, as we're like introducing the story, I think it makes it hard to relate to the characters because I don't feel like I'm really getting to know any of them. I actually did just remember one character that I do like a lot, and I think she's fairly recent. Isildur's sister. What's her name?
Arian. Erarin? I don't know.
Ooh,
Arien.
Your pronunciation is very good.
Why, thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome.
not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but
it sounded
very the sister
Lord of the Rings to me. So yeah, it was good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The sister. Okay, so we have her brother, Isildur, and then the father's name is
something that translates into elf friend.
Elf friend.
Yeah.
It's Elendil.
Yeah.
Elendil.
Yeah.
Elendil.
I think as the show moves forward and we get the storyline developed further, it will be better. It feels kind of slow.
What was it about this Erarin? I don't know how to say it. What was it about her character that you're like, okay, I kind of like this gal?
She seems
Is it because she's studious in the guild?
Yeah. She was like, I was told no, that I couldn't get into this guild, and Isildur told me that I should try again, and they let me in. And she's like, I'm gonna go be a student. Like, also just like her wit is pretty quick, which I thought was really fun because I didn't really feel as though we had like all of the conversations have felt just really lacking in emotion. Like, it's felt kind of wooden, which sounds really weird, but like, I can't connect with Galadriel. Her facial expression never changes.
I was talking to my mom about this too, and she was saying something similar, that she just wasn't connecting to Galadriel.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the acting, it wasn't the actress herself, it was just the character and maybe how she's written.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I mean, she's supposed to be like thousands of years old or something. So like, I don't know, like how, I guess, she is a little bit one-dimensional right off the bat. As far as like the characters that I was kind of connecting with myself, I'm really loving the dwarves. I'm loving Durin and Disa so much.
Yeah.
Me, a Nynaeve lover, like, I just really appreciate characters that wear their hearts on their sleeve.
Yeah.
And with the dwarf, there's just no holding back on this. They're angry, you see it. They're happy, you hear it. I do think that they're kind of these fun characters where every episode, I'm hoping to go back there. Like, I want to see what's going on with them, and I like their family dynamics, and I just think that it's kind of a nice situation with Elrond there, and we're kind of like seeing it through his eyes. I like the whole interior of where they're living. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Something Doom. Khazad-dûm or something. But I think this is like a really nice storyline.
Yeah, it has like a tenderness and warmth to it. And I like that.
I like the kind of like the ribbing that they give each other, Like, like an old married couple, they can fight and they can be hostile towards each other, but they are very much in love.
Very much. It's darling.
It is. Yeah. One of the groups of species that I'm not connecting with very much at all. I feel so bad saying this is the Harfoots.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Okay, at first, I was really loving it. And their introduction, when they're kind of like popping out of the grass, and they're, pulling these kind of like earthen little shelters, like they're just kind of popping out of there, and I thought this was just really heartwarming and fun. And then in episode 4, they're like, we don't leave people behind, we stick together, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
except for you're at the back of the line. If you can't walk, sorry,
Right?
like you're dead. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, because your
What?
daughter attempted to be kind to some weird being that fell from the sky. Like, what? What's happening?
Yes,
No one goes off trail and no one walks alone, but you're going to leave them in the back? This doesn't feel right.
unless you've angered us somehow, and then you're,
Right? And then
food
just
for whatever animals come along, I guess.
right. Yeah, it's fine. You go in the book next year, we'll all be sad for a minute and that's that. That's that.
Right, right.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's how, like, when they were listing off the names from the books, and I was like, well, it feels very trivial now that I know that, like, like, what did this person do?
Yeah.
They said something you didn't like, so you left them at the end of the line, and
And a wolf took them out.
yeah, yeah. Come
Yeah.
on, Harfoot, get it
Yeah.
together.
I
But I
agree.
don't.
There's also something that, and I don't know if other people feel this way. I feel as though they're being portrayed as, and maybe not intentionally, but almost simple. Like they don't
Okay.
feel like they're given sophisticated levels of thought and interaction. It's
Okay.
I don't know if I'm explaining this right. Like,
No, like they're portrayed in a quaint manner.
yeah, but it feels almost like a disservice to this particular group of people, especially if they're trying to connect them to the hobbits later on, because aren't hobbits like at least like they're not simple, right? Like
Right.
I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm explaining this right.
No, I totally understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I really like Poppy, Nori's friend,
Oh my
and
god.
she's adorable. I really connected with her. I thought that this actress does a really great job,
Very.
and her fearfulness and kind of, wanting to be true to her friend and help her friend, but at the same time, not get herself in trouble. So
Yeah.
she's really going out on a line here,
Yeah.
despite her Harfoot, like her deep Harfoot nature.
Yeah, which is like to just stay out of trouble as much as possible. Like always on defense and hiding, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Poppy does a really good job of playing a role that could easily be annoying, and instead she's endearing. And I like that.
Yes,
It
yes,
it could
yes.
also be the fact that she looks like I did when I was like a much
She's
smaller
so
version of
cute.
myself. Yeah,
She's
like
so
the
cute.
kind of that round face, round belly, like just I don't know. I liked her too. Yeah.
That scene where I think it's Sadok, he's in his little room,
Yeah,
and we have
yeah.
little Nori hiding under the desk, and Poppy's kind of stalling for time and
uh,
helping her out. And I love that
yeah.
little, like, mischievous moment. I thought that was really cute.
Mhm. And see, I think that's just it. Like all of that stuff, isn't that pretty much all in the last episode that's just come out?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to take with this. This is almost like the beginning of Eye of the World. Get through the stuff that lays out the things, and then
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, as we go along, I mean, seriously, this show has a massive budget. And so far, I'm just like, it's pretty,
Yeah, I
but I
agree. I
don't,
think this is one of the criticisms where it's like beautiful to look at, costumes
mm hmm.
amazing, lighting majestic,
Yeah.
all of the outdoor scenes and all of the towns and interiors, everything's breathtaking to look at.
Mm hmm.
But as far as condensing and the plot timeline and the introduction of new characters almost every episode, it somehow feels rushed and
Ooh.
stalled at the same time
Ooh,
at
yeah.
certain moments.
Mm
And
hmm.
then I think this is a criticism of Amazon's way of kind of doing the 8 episode. I guess, yeah, like, is it just 8? I'm gonna look this up right now.
Yeah, I honestly don't know if it's 8 or 10. I would imagine it's 8. That seems to be the number that Amazon likes to stick with. Although the episode links have been like at least an hour, I would say, right? Yeah.
Yes, the length of the episodes themselves are really helpful. Really
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
still, sometimes they feel a little bit too long.
Oh my God, yeah. And like so many things just felt really unnecessary. Like I know this is just a small thing, and I mean maybe this is just how you do stuff in a fancy place like what is it, Numendor?
Numenor,
Yeah,
Numenor.
yeah,
I like how they
Numenor.
roll it at the end.
Always. I'm gonna be that person that doesn't do it because I just sound stupid when I try. Um, but it is like Galadriel is going down to visit what's his face in the jail cell, and she passes around this
Halbrand.
enormous, yeah, this enormous elaborate statue thing that's in this really fancy jail cell, and I was like, why? It's a jail cell. Why is there this like massive statue? Why are there what looks like gold workings on the cell doors? I don't why is it so fancy? What's the point? Make it a fucking
The
jail cell.
the way that I interpreted that is that, and this is coming from me, I have no connection to the Silmarillion. I read Tolkien when I was a child. Okay, this
Yeah.
is not fresh in my memory at all. But the way that the
I
way
love
that
it.
I interpreted this was that Numenor is having, they're in the midst of like a golden era,
Oh yeah. Mhm.
where prosperity is everywhere. So like they can
Mhm.
afford where every corner you go down, everything you look at, it will just be a display of wealth and prosperity.
Mhm.
And I guess maybe that could be why they have fancy jail cells,
I
fancy
mean, yeah.
jails.
Yeah. It just I mean, I'm not even really thinking about this so much from the perspective of the citizens of this place. I'm more thinking about the budget that Amazon
Mhm.
has been given. And I'm like, I feel like already I can see places where you could have spent the budget more effectively and not made like this ridiculous, unrealistic jail cell.
Mhm.
It's one of those things where I'm like, how much of this is going to be overkill? How many different scenes am I going to look at and be like, all right, I get it. You created a city with your computer. Move on to the next thing. You know? Like, is that what this is going to be? Or is there a story coming along soon? Because I feel like that's what I'm waiting for. Where's the
Yeah,
story?
this is a valid criticism, I think, and there have been moments that I
Thank you.
really liked throughout the series,
Yeah.
but I feel like just now, episode 4 is when we're getting to the meat of the story, where it's
Mm-hmm.
finally starting,
Yeah.
where a lot of it has been exposition,
Mm-hmm.
and now we're getting to the meat and potatoes,
Potatoes.
and it's, I feel like this, the very end of this episode is where things are starting to kick off.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked, and it is Rings of Power only having 8 episodes.
Okay.
So we're at the halfway mark now,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm just finally starting to kind of feel invested in the story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And this is, again, coming from someone that has very little background on this world.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, same.
yeah, so I feel like I'm the targeted viewer, right? Like, I don't think
Ooh,
they're
good
making
point.
this show for, of course, I'm sure they want the big Tolkien fans to be excited about it and enjoy, all the lore that's poured into it. But from someone who doesn't know the lore, like it means nothing to me.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is
Same.
definitely making me look at the Wheel of Time differently,
Ooh. Yeah. Me too.
because I'm trying to kind of see how someone that has no idea about the history of this book series and kind of walk into it,
Mm-hmm.
eyes wide
Yeah.
open, like I have no idea.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not sure if the first 3 episodes were almost too fast and too slow at the same time,
I
but
think
there are
so.
some characters that I'm very invested in.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about favorite storylines so far
Okay.
because I feel like as we've like jumped across the map multiple times in the first 4 episodes, we've
Mm-hmm.
got many different storylines.
Mm-hmm.
And is there any of them that you do like? Maybe one that you appreciate when you get there as opposed to a different one?
I mean, okay, so this potentially sounds like contradictory to what we've been talking about, but I think the storyline I like the most right now is actually Galadriel's.
Okay.
I don't necessarily like every aspect of it, but there is certainly like an undeniable purity in what she's driving for, like to the point where she just doesn't care about anything else. And everyone starts to think like you're crazy. Like there's nothing more that's happening, and she's like, "No, you don't get it. You guys just don't get it." She gets so strongly attached to that idea that she jumps ship before entering the promised land, whatever it is, Valador, whatever.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
I
Yeah.
know names of things. So she jumps into the middle of the ocean because she's so convicted on what she wants to do, or has so much conviction. And then she's rescued. She almost dies. She's rescued again. She's given a space to kind of like learn and express. And her new like travel companion, I like him.
Halbrand. I like him too. I like
Yeah.
him too.
Yeah. I liked that his first instinct when he was like under attack at the bar, that one scene, and he's like,
Hmm.
you know what? I'm not here to cause any trouble. Let's just enjoy each other's company. I'm going to buy everybody a round of beers. And everyone's like, huzzah! And I was like, well, that's not what I was expecting at all. That was delightful. Like,
Yeah, but then he did that as a ruse so that he could steal those guild members.
well, I didn't know that.
Oh.
No, no, no. Like I didn't know that that was his intention. Like I thought he
Oh,
was just
okay.
trying to like avoid violence. You know, like I thought he was like the way he steps in between Galadriel and the Queen of Numenor, and he's like, "Okay, let's take a step back. Let's think about this. Let's have
Hmm.
some time to cool off and figure our shit out." And then we can come back to this and discuss it like logical, reasonable human beings. So I'm getting this like picture of him as like some sort of mediator, like somebody who's had experience in navigating conversations with people who are hostile towards each other. So, what the fuck is his background that he knows how to do that? And he calls Galadriel out, and like she actually kind of sort of responds to him. And I like that. Like, I feel like she's going to become, hopefully, a better character. And I love a good character growth opportunity. So I think that's why I like hers is like she's starting to like collect people that are going to call her out for her shit who actually have personalities.
Hmm.
Um and it'll make her story, which feels so important right now. Like it is dire that they get back to the Southlands because absolutely shit is going down. And she's right. She's fucking right. She's been right. And now
Right.
she's like, we gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go.
She's almost being gaslit like by every person that she comes across where they're
Right.
like, wah wah.
Yeah.
Everything she says is basically shrugged off. I have
I'm
two
gonna
thoughts
I
with
just want to share an expression that Mary shared with me recently that I think is really funny and appropriate here. It's like talking to a brick wall of no. And
yeah.
that's what's happening. Like she's like, you guys, and they're like, no, no. You can just kill more people. That's what's gonna happen. More people are going to die. More elves are going to die, and it will be your fault. So no. We're
Well, it's
right,
not just
you're wrong.
elves either. It's
Mm-hmm.
everyone living in this
Everyone.
area.
And that's
But
what
two
she fears
thoughts.
for. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear this. Sorry.
With
Sorry.
Galadriel,
Uh huh.
I do think that maybe one of the things about her character where it's been kind of a little bit hard to connect with
Mm hmm.
is there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a stern, strong character. But I haven't really seen a softness to her, which can be equally as strong.
Agreed.
And maybe that's kind of what I'm missing. And the second thing is with Hallbrand. So what you said about him kind of like doing this faux peacekeeping moment where you were like, where did you learn how to do that? What's your backstory? I think that's one of the fun things that I found about his character, and probably one of the reasons why I like his character more so than many of the others is because he's kind of mysterious.
Yes.
He's kind of a scamp. We don't really know what he is up to. We don't know what his motivations are. And now, like, at the end of episode 4, they're like, oh, he could be this great leader of this land. And they're kind of like,
he's a king.
You know, like, right. Yeah. So there's something really interesting about his character where I'm assuming he wasn't introduced just for kind of this comedic
oh no
duo, you know, with Galadriel, because they're both very different. And it's nice to kind of have these two characters where in many cases they're the same, like they're both very stubborn and set in their ways.
Yeah.
But he kind of has this lightness, this human aspect to him where Galadriel is just like, I'm an elf. I'm here on a mission. This is my story. And you're like, okay, but all right. Yeah.
I have great skin and I never smile.
Great skin, great hair. Don't like smiling very much.
No smiling. I feel as though there is a parallel in this moment where we have the unknown king, the banished king, the king who's not a king. This feels very familiar to Lord of the Rings with, oh my God. I really don't want to say what's his name again, but forgive my memory. What is his name?
Are you talking about the character who is man and elf, Aragorn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I felt as though there was like that parallel there where it's like, oh, we have a king who could be a king who could bind together the people if we could just get him in the right place. And I feel like this is almost the exact same thing. And not that I hate it, but I'm like, you've done this already.
In fantasy, I feel like this is just a trope that gets used a lot.
Good
in
point.
General.
Good point. Yeah.
I mean,
it's almost expected.
Even in the Wheel of Time, there's some of that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I love the idea of somebody being like, I'm actually royalty. Been living in dirt most of my life. I love that idea.
Yeah.
I dreamed of that. That was what I was hoping for. No one ever arrived. I've not been declared royalty yet.
So I think my favorite storyline so far is obviously what's going on with Elrond and the dwarves and Durin.
Okay.
I really like, obviously, everything going on over there. And every episode, that's the place where I'm hoping to end back up.
Ooh, okay.
And I'm also probably invested the most in what's going on in the Southland. I think, of course, it might have a little bit to do with this invasion of orcs that's coming in and kind of tearing shit up and destroying things. And I love a good creature feature moment. Yeah. I'm liking the almost subtle horror aspects to this whole scene in episode 3 where we have this literal monster in the house genre moment where Theo, Bronwyn's son, is stuck in this little cabinet hiding from, it looks like a demon creature that's wearing this skull mask thing. It's an orc, but he doesn't know what it is, you know? And he can't get out. Like he's trapped in there with it.
Yeah.
And it takes probably 5 minutes for, mom to come in. And then it is just this, like hacking and slashing and teamwork. And Theo's almost doing a Home Alone Kevin sequence where he's rigging stuff up and booby trapping. And I just really, really liked this whole scene. I like how it was shot. I think it was the most exciting kind of like almost like chase of cat and mouse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think of all of the scenes, that might have been my favorite. And I'm not even like a horror movie TV person. Like I don't like too scary. But I love a good monster in the house moment. Like it's that callback to Alien where like they're stuck on the ship and something is there that's going to kill them. And I loved that it came down to Mama Bear coming in and was like, oh, hell no. Like, you will not take my son. And she's just tooth and nail fighting this thing. And I kind of like grew to really like her character all of a sudden.
Yeah.
In this moment, like this pure maternal rage of like, no, like not today. Not today.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of my really fun moments that I liked. But just in general, all of this chaos that's happening here, everyone's displaced now and they're taking refuge in this tower. There's no food now. So we know, like, I'm assuming things are going to get really bad. And I don't know if this means people turning on each other. And I don't know what the consequences are, but I don't think it's going to be good because they did end up with a little bit more food now, but that'll last them, what, a day or two?
Yeah.
So things are going to get really bad there.
Yes.
And I guess, like, I like that kind of gloomy, dark
realistic
scenery as well. Yeah, because it's no, like it really is. Out of all of the settings on the map that we travel to, this is the one that feels the most lived in. I feel like.
Good point. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know
Rub
what?
a little dirt on it.
I like things a little dirty, lived in, worn out. And I do have to say, I picked up on things like this elf invasion, guarding, like the moment that what is the elf's name?
The one that's in the Southlands?
Yeah.
Arondir.
I like how they introduce his character. Like he walks by these two dudes playing a game and he like tells the dude the winning move and all he's done is just like walk by it. So like you get this instant, this guy sees everything and is like 4 steps ahead of you already. I thought that was cool. There was something else that I wanted to say about that. I just remembered what I was going to say. Okay, when our one guy comes into the bar and he's talking, he's asking questions, and this one guy is just like, oh my God, shut up. I'm tired of hearing you talk. Another dude, like the bartender, tries calming things down. But I think he mentions like the guy who's like all fiery and upset says something like, it's been 1,000 years since the defeat of Morgoth. And these elves are still like coming through 1,000 years later, monitoring this area. And I was kind of mind blown by that number of years. It's been 1,000 years. I mean, to an elf, it's like, okay, whatever. But for humans, that's a long fucking time.
That's interesting, though, that you bring that up, because I guess it really does speak to the humanity, like the short time that the humans are actually living.
Yes.
And it's kind of, it almost makes the elves godlike, you know?
Yeah. Well, and there was something about the dwarves, like when you were talking about them, there's a piece in here that I think is really nice, whether people catch it or not. But I feel as though this moment of forgiveness between Elrond and Durin
Hmm.
that was really touching.
Yeah, and poor Durin, Elrond, he's like, you haven't been here in 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, 20 years, Elrond. And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm sorry. Like, time is different for us.
Exactly.
And the fact that there's any friendships between these different species, I
Yes.
think is incredible
Agreed.
because it's so different. It's
Yeah.
so different.
Mm-hmm. I agree. That was exactly what I wanted to get to, was that 20 years. Durin's like, that's a lifetime for me. And Elrond's like, well, it feels like nothing to me. I live basically forever. So, like,
Yeah,
and
they're
just,
immortal. They're immortal.
they're immortal. So for him, like, time doesn't mean the same thing as it does to someone who is mortal. And so of course Durin's like super hurt. This is his friend. His friend who apparently has not contacted him in 20 years. Didn't go to his wedding, didn't come around for the birth of his children. Like,
Never met
Elrond,
his wife.
yeah.
Nothing.
Like, you deserve that rock breaking challenge
Yes.
before you get to make
yes.
your fucking apology. You needed that. Durin, yes.
Agreed.
Yeah, and so I thought that was well done. Like, the power of friendship, how much it can hurt when someone who is your friend is not there for you, because this is a reaction of hurt. This isn't just him being angry. Elrond obviously means something to Durin, or he would not have been that upset. And so it's just lovely to have deep platonic cross whatever they are, dwarf to elf friendships. Like, this is possible. Regardless of what anyone else says, you can make friends across differences. And I love that. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah,
See, I don't completely hate it.
No. All of your criticisms have been totally valid.
Thank you.
I think
Thanks.
that's just maybe that's just why it's my favorite. Like, it is a story of friendship and
Yeah.
totally different types of
Oh,
species coming together and being able to be like, yeah, like, see, we can do this. We can do this, guys.
And I think Durin's wife,
Disa.
Yeah. I love how she was just like, get in here, Elrond. You're part of our family. Immediately.
Yeah.
Durin, shut your face.
I have so much love for Disa.
Mm-hmm. Sassy.
Well,
I would.
Well, maybe we can just go right into favorite character then.
Sure.
Because I have two favorites. She's one. I can't say anything bad about the acting, about anything with her character.
No.
And even the way that she's written, it's just so endearing.
It really is.
So endearing.
It's loving.
Yeah.
I love seeing her and her interactions with Durin, and like when she's explaining to Elrond like why she's doing certain things, and do you have any more questions now? And then later she's like, I totally lied to him.
I totally lied to him. Yeah. That is love right there. That is love right there.
Yeah, to lie like that to another person. It was almost like she was explaining
expertly
something to like a child. Like, Elrond, dear, you aren't from here. You don't understand anything. Therefore, I can tell you whatever the fuck I want, and you will accept it as truth. Look at me. Look at how truthful I look right now.
And the fact that she treats Elrond, she treats him in a childlike way almost, where
Agreed.
She's not intimidated by, this long-living elf, She did lie to him, but she very openly accepted him into the home.
Yes. Yeah, I actually think, so I'm gonna try to place myself in Disa's head.
Okay.
I am a saucy, lying dwarf. Female form of power now. Can you feel it?
Yes.
I think she feels sorry for Elrond.
I think she does too.
Yeah, like, to her, with him missing out on 20 years of his friend's life, He's missed out on 20 years of building a friendship, of building bonds that this family of dwarves, and it seems like the dwarves are pretty chummy. They seem like they really like hanging out with each other, and I fucking love that. Elrond, not so much. He's like, oh, I'll just sit over here to the side and stay quiet and smile every once in a while.
It's almost as though we are seeing everything through the eyes of a scholar who's like, he's off to the side, almost like he's writing it down,
Yeah. Yeah, observing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he doesn't really feel like he sinks into it. And
right, he's
I think
very much an outsider.
Yeah, I think Disa wants to make him feel as though he can. But I think there is like a level of like pity almost. I think that's why it comes like down to her being like, "Okay, dear."
It's almost possible that she wants to have Elrond feel this connection to like a human feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Like how much does life mean to you when you just live forever?
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Like, and I don't want to say humanity because like all of these characters like humanoid, but something about the elves does lack that humanity. If you don't die, if time just keeps going on for you,
it means nothing.
Yeah, what are you living for?
Yeah. Just what is precious?
What is precious? What is precious?
How many references are we gonna like make?
Hey, precious.
But yeah, I like Disa a lot. I like her sass. I like her intelligence. I like her loyalty to her husband. And I like the way that she handles Elrond. Like you said, almost like he's a child.
Yeah. Do you know Elrond is the actor that played young Ned Stark?
I did. I looked that up and I was like, that's why. That's why your face is familiar.
I could not figure out where he was familiar.
Right.
That
where
was
do you come from? And then I was like, aha.
Aha.
You know what's funny too, though? It's like, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say something silly. Like, so Sean Bean was in Lord of the Rings and then Game of Thrones. And now this actor was Game of Thrones and now a Lord of the Rings thing. That's so transitional. It's like they're so like,
many connections.
Have you been in a fantasy series before? Do you know how to do fantasy stuff? Come with us.
Okay. I was talking about my favorite character. So
yes, we were on Disa. Who else?
Do you want to know who else is my favorite character?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah. Or do you want to keep talking about Disa?
No, because I feel like I could talk about Disa forever.
Okay.
You know?
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Arondir, I really, really like him.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about him specifically. Maybe it's just out of all the elves, he feels like he has the larger range of like emotions and feelings possibly. And it might be this kind of like forbidden love, that this scenario that's going on between him and Bronwyn. And I feel a connection to her as well because she's not an elf, she's not a dwarf, she's just a regular old human who likes to fuck up orcs, and I'm here for it. And she's a healer. I like healers. But
oh my god!
What?
Arondir has land-like qualities.
He does. Oh my god! There, nailed it. That's what it is. Soldier.
I was just like, deadly in the way that he walks, stone-faced, but his eyes show emotion. He has a thing for a beautiful woman with long hair that's tied back, kind of braided, also a healer.
Lioness.
He can't love her, but he wants to love her.
Yeah, and there's something very poetic about his character, too. So this whole plot where he's in the orc slave camp, and they're like, you're going to cut down that tree. And I felt so sad. Like, I felt such a connection to him. And when he's doing this, I'm so excited here. He's swinging the axe, and when he's swinging the axe, like, I felt it where I was like, oh, like, getting a little emotional here. But
Right?
before that, he put his hand on the tree and like said a little prayer or
Yeah.
something. And it
Yeah.
really got me. So, like, he is pretty well rounded, you know? Like, he's
Yeah.
a soldier, but he's also, there's something that's kind of like linking him to nature. I think that has something to do with like what type of race of elf he is. That
Yeah.
there's something there with that. I'm not exactly sure. Nope, not a lore historian here. But
We should bring Mary on. I was talking with her and she was like, I could get my PhD in Lord of the Rings. It's my favorite series ever. Books, the movies, everything. She's like, I know everything about it. And I was like, all right, because I know like nothing. Might be fun to like ask her some lore questions sometime.
maybe we should just have her come on for the next
Oh
episode.
my God, she would love that. She would love that. When I told her what we were doing today, she was like, I'm so excited for you. Yeah.
Okay, back to
Okay.
things.
Yeah.
So, Arendir, really like him, and it totally does not hurt his cause that he's so good looking.
He's
Like,
very striking.
so good looking, where I'm like, yeah, everything you say, I'm just like,
Yep.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay, mm-hmm.
He reminds me quite a bit of the actor that plays Caesar in the Underground Railroad. Like just that like really fun, like those high cheekbones, a kind of full mouth, and just like, how are you so pretty?
Yeah, I really, really dig this actor.
Mm-hmm.
I've
I
seen him
agree.
speak in a couple interviews and whatnot, and I'm just like, yeah, like I could just listen to this guy talk.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, something interesting about his character who was added in for the show. Like, he's not a book character, if I'm correct. So
Mm.
he's like entirely Amazon's creation.
I like that.
And I don't know if that's maybe one of the things that helps out his character and what's making it feel more well rounded is because
Mm-hmm.
they can invent, they can
Mm-hmm.
invent him however they choose to. And it doesn't have to be like, well, on paper, this character does this and he has to act like that. Like maybe this gives
Yeah.
him more to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
Yeah, yeah. But
that.
yeah, I think he and Disa are my top two, hands down.
Yeah.
That's it. What about you?
I like Poppy a lot. I know we already
Oh,
talked
sweet
about her,
Poppy.
but she is just so cute. She's so cute. And I almost feel bad sometimes when I say that about people like you are just so cute because I mean that's what I hear all the time. I'm like I'm over 40 and I still get described that way. So I can understand where it might like rub the wrong way, but sometimes that definition just absolutely applies and she is like
She's darling. She really
yes.
is.
I feel as though she's a really good balance to Nori because as much as I want to like Nori, I'm not quite there yet. Like I like her, she's okay, but I think Poppy overshadows her. I don't think that's how it's supposed to be, but that's how it's hitting me.
Yeah, there's something about Nori that I'm just not fully connecting to yet.
Yeah, yeah, same.
Yeah, that's hard because it might just be that she's got kind of like one defining characteristic right now, and it's that
Mhm.
she's the outlier of all the
Mhm.
Harfoots. So
Mhm.
like it feels really easy to kind of just like everything that she does, you almost can kind of expect, right? Like
Right, yeah.
it's almost a bit predictable.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure that like I don't have like a feeling of dislike, but there's just
Right.
nothing that I'm really grasping onto
Exactly.
yet.
Exactly. I almost feel as though this is a bit of a forced storyline. It doesn't feel complete. I don't know how else to describe it. Like it's
The,
cute. It's doing things, but why? Why are they there? What are they doing? What's going to happen?
Yeah, there's obviously something about the whole Harfoot storyline that I feel like it's gonna become important at some point.
I hope so.
But the stranger, I feel like, is a little bit of this. Ah, I don't think it's bad, but again, this kind of like trope
Yeah.
mystery of like
Yep.
mysterious person.
Falls
We
from
don't
the
know what he
sky.
is. Yeah.
Makes a crater. Let's go
Yeah,
see
and
what that is. Hooray!
my biggest hope is that it's not part of like the finale. It's like, oh, and here's the big reveal. It's so and so.
Can
Because
I
we
ask you who
did
you
this with
think
the
it is?
Wheel of I think it's probably Gandalf.
Same.
I think it's Wizard
Yeah.
because he's doing wizard like things.
Yeah. Like talking
Yeah,
to flying insects.
yeah, he accidentally killed them, but you know,
It
mishaps
happens.
happen,
He's new at this. He just
right? He
fell to
just
the earth. He
fell
has
from the
no idea what's
sky.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah,
Whoops, sorry
probably
guys.
concussed.
Thanks for your help.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a little bit of a problem with that unless they reveal him as Gandalf soon. Although okay. I just had a thought while I was saying that. Wouldn't okay. I can't talk. It would make sense for this to be Gandalf and then for Gandalf to have like this centuries long connection with the Harfoots who become the hobbits. And he's like, hey, I have this ring thing, hobbit person. You're the one to take it. Like he's been watching the Harfoots develop and whatnot. Like maybe that's why this is his. Is this his origin story that we're getting here?
Or right, or his possible like very long connection he has with hobbits, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It
He
just
does
it
like
would
his
make
hobbits.
yeah, it would make the other series like if since this is defined as a prequel, it would make the other series that come later, which we already know, like kind of make more sense. Like that question of why does Gandalf like hanging out with hobbits? Oh, it's
Mm-hmm.
because one of their ancestors pulled him out of a crater after he fell from the
Yeah,
sky. That would make sense.
it would absolutely make sense.
I love this.
Absolutely make sense.
Okay. Again, another series that Amazon is creating that we should be writing for.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking.
Please.
With the characters so far,
Hmm.
I think the majority of them either feel like they're getting too much attention, where I'm like, okay, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like this poor ruler of Numenor,
Yeah.
this poor woman, Queen Regent Muriel.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
so bad because I don't care about her story at all. I know
Yeah.
that there's a big prophecy involved with the
Hmm.
tree and what it means for her to reconnect with the friendship that Numenor has with the elves.
Yeah.
But I'm just not connected to this Numenor story at
Hmm.
all right now.
Aw.
And it finally took to the last part of the last episode where they're
Yep.
standing up and they're like, "We will fight.
Yeah.
We will join." And I'm like, "Okay, finally, we're going
Yeah.
somewhere. This
We're
is
moving.
going places."
Things are
And
happening.
yeah, and I just felt a little bit sad that I'm like, "Oh, we're already on episode 4."
Yeah.
Ugh.
See,
Imagine
okay,
if that would have started 2
so much
episodes
sooner.
ago. Yeah.
Exactly. That is one of the things that has really bothered me is I feel like there's a lot of story to tell and I feel like the story is being sacrificed for special effects and costumes and things along those lines. I would rather have had it start with Galadriel being exiled against her will. That would have been a perfect place to start. Everything that happened to them could have just been told in some like story. And now Galadriel has been called back against her will and blah, blah, blah. And then she makes her choice and then she jumps into the ocean and then we move from there. Because that whole first
Mhm.
part, I don't give a fuck about snow trolls. What was the what was the point of that whole thing? You could have just talked about that in like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
went
I
against the
mean,
orcs and it sucked. End of story.
that's fair. That is fair. As much as I love a good snow troll killing moment.
If it feels superfluous, I'm not down for it. I think that's the thing. Is like
And
this
and
just
this
felt
is
like a
okay
show
from
off of what we can do, but it didn't feel necessary to actually telling part of the story.
for me this isn't so much a criticism of the show, it's a
Mm-hmm.
criticism of Amazon for being like,
Yes.
great huge story we want to tell here, do it in 8 episodes. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we'll give you, like about an hour each episode to do it.
Yep.
I would probably appreciate more episodes, even if they were shorter,
Oh
Because
yeah.
this is a
Yeah.
massive story. And I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind if they cut it down and extended it and made it longer. Like, it's just really unfortunate now that, like, with adaptations, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, hey, like, we're gonna invest all of this money, but
Yes.
like do it in 8 episodes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's the parameters that you're working with, and I just don't think that that makes for great storytelling. I don't think it makes
Agreed.
great parameters for the writers and the
Yeah.
script and the dialogue when
Mm-hmm.
like you have to cram as much as you can into these 8 episodes. If that's the case, like cut back on
Yep.
sets and cut back on special effects and the things that you're spending the big bucks for, and add,
Yes.
5 more episodes maybe. But
You are
that's
you are
just
speaking
me.
words from inside my brain.
I mean, it's a huge story, and I
It
I mean,
is.
if I'm thinking about things that just random things that could have been really interesting to include,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's plenty of things that might seem like filler to some and not
Mm-hmm.
to others. So I'm
That's
sure there's
true.
going to be moments that not everyone loves. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't love Numenor, but I
But
think
okay.
that city, like, again, breathtaking, amazing, special effects, wow. But
Yeah.
at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, I don't even care about this place for some
No.
reason.
And I mean, why should you? You aren't connected to any of the characters that live there. Like I
Yeah,
would
and
much
like,
I would much rather spend time with like the queen talking with one of her counselors as they walk through a hallway and getting to know her and her intentions and blah 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 than get like this like ridiculous overview of this place where I'm like I don't care. I don't care. Can you please get back to the story? That's actually what I'm here for. And I think that's what's getting me. I'm here for the story. I'm not finding a story. I'm not finding characters that draw me in, especially when I'm comparing it to like the other shows that I'm watching that are in
mhm.
the fantasy line.
So there's something that like became very clear to me again in this last episode
Mhm.
where you had said you liked Elendil's daughter.
Yeah. Mhm.
And to me, like, I had no connection to her, wasn't sure why she's even included in this story. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
she's a part of this guild or a scribe or whatever. I don't understand why it matters.
Mhm.
And it was the same with her son or his
Mhm.
son. I'm like, okay, he gets kicked off of his boat crew job. Sucks, but it almost did seem like there was a bit of like nepotism going on
Oh, for
because his
sure.
father is someone really important. And so he's getting
Mhm.
this job, and now
Mhm.
his daughter is getting this job over here. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't, why is this important? And then finally at the end, his son is
Mhm.
Isildur.
Mhm.
He's like joining this army, and I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
now it makes sense. Like,
Mhm.
this whole time I'm wondering, what does it matter that this kid is kicked off of his boat
Yeah.
with his friends? Like, why was that even a part of the story? And I'm like, oh, okay, like they
Mhm.
had to use this moment for it to make sense why he's there and why
Mhm.
he joins this militia, I guess, this military company.
Mhm.
And I'm assuming now, like, all of this fighting that's going to be done with this group, I guess we're going to be getting it from his side, like from his eyes. So he's going to be our connecting character to everything that's going on there, which I'm actually really excited for, because up until that point, I was not invested in Numenor. And now I'm like, okay, let's do this. All right, get on the boats. Let's roll. I'm excited to see where that actually goes now.
I like Elendil as a character. He felt really moderate to me, very calm, very peaceful, very not quick to anger. And I really like it when people can have that kind of composure in high stress situations. And I think that his presence really helps when Galadriel is like, blah, 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 you guys would have nothing if it weren't for us elves, blah, 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 take me home.
I guess
her
too,
diplomacy skills are shit.
Awful. Awful.
So bad.
I mean, I'm hoping for some growth with her. I
Yes,
mean, but
me too.
I mean, how old is she, right? Like, she had plenty of time to hone in on those skills, but
it's gonna take some sassy human would-be king to like make
whip
her
her into
smile.
shape.
Yeah, something like that. Like, oh
Yeah.
my guy. I mean how many tropes? Okay.
There was another character that I really liked, Farazan. He was in Numenor where there were these kind of like rabble-rousers out on the street. And they're like, these elves are coming to take our jobs and like this and that. And he swoops in and he's like, not under my watch. You know, like, all of your fears will be taken care of when I'm in charge. You know, and he has this very like kind of manipulative political intrigue about him where I'm like, okay, he's one to watch. And then they come in with the wine and they're like, here, wine for everyone. And, you know, by the time he's done with them, they're eating out of his hand, right?
Yeah. And no one follows him and attacks him down an alley either.
True. But I just think that he was like this really interesting character where I'm like, okay, I'm excited to see what goes on with his character, because I feel like he could be almost like one of the baddies, but like mid-level baddie at some point during the story.
Yes, okay.
I have no idea where his storyline goes. And then also, I really liked this Adar dark elf that's hanging out with the orcs, that Mercy killed one of the orcs.
Oh gosh,
and
yeah.
Arendir is like, why do they call you father? And he doesn't answer it, but then he's like, almost like ritualistically, like speaking these words to this injured orc, and then kind of like making eye contact with him the whole time, and then like Mercy killing him. And I'm like, okay, again, very curious to see what's going on with this character, because I think, again, he's going to end up being almost like this mid-level baddie for the series.
Okay. I need you to define mid-level baddies for someone who runs with orcs.
Okay,
to me, that
like,
seems like a bit above mid-level bad.
No. Like, I mean, you know how like at the end of the series, there's going to be a climatic nemesis or climatic
like confrontation.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that like he's just like kind of like not so bad. I'm saying like I don't think he's like the main boss at the end of the level that you fight, right?
Okay,
Like I think he's like the mid-level.
Oh, I get it. Like a hierarchical structure. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I was going off. I had a conversation very similar to this with Andrew this morning. This is fun. I was thinking more like how far they are into being like a bad guy, and this guy isn't like completely bad, But what you're saying about like it being like in the position, like the layer of badness, he's kind of like under, and we're going to be getting someone above him who's going to be even worse. And that I'm with
Yeah,
you
yeah.
fully on. I get you on that one, and I agree. Yeah.
So like I think like even though he is gonna be one of the bad guys, he clearly, right? He runs with orcs. But
Right.
I think like he's obviously answering to someone above him, but
Yes.
he's also showing signs of like compassion in this weird way.
Weird. Weird way.
Mhm.
Weird. Unexpected and weird. Kind of like
Oh my
it.
God, I forgot to even I forgot to even talk about my favorite moment in the whole show so far
Oh,
was
please.
the cut scene from where little Theo is, I guess he's not that little, is saved by Arendir and they're, hauling ass out of the forest. They
Okay.
reach the clearing and they reach Bronwyn, and all of the orcs are being held back by the sunlight.
Okay,
And
okay.
there's this really beautiful background music, and it's a woman singing kind of like very ethereally, is that a word?
I think
but
so.
but it's this woman singing, and you don't realize it at first until it cuts to Disa, and she's singing and it's moving the metals, it's moving
Mm-hmm.
these things that are inside, the stone.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that was so well done. That was done expertly because it just sounded like background music, and then
Mm-hmm.
it went right into the next scene. And I was like, that's a good cut. Like, that
Mm-hmm.
was a good edit. Really appreciated that point.
With Disa singing, is this before or after the canyon collapse moment happens?
This was like pretty much almost at the very end of the episode, I
Okay.
believe.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know, like that was one of the moments where I was like getting a little teary eyed here. Her
It was
singing is just
beautiful.
beautiful. It was so
Agreed.
good.
Yeah. I think she's a powerful presence in the show, and I really hope that she continues to be like, I don't know, I don't want to see her get cut out of future scenes. Like, I'm afraid if something happens and Durin has to leave the dwarf mountain, then we're going to lose Disa. Like, is she going to be able to come along, or does she have to stay home and take care of the kids? And I'll be kind of sad if we don't get to have an adventure that includes her, because I think she just brings a lot of heart and warmth and genuineness that isn't really present in every other, like, I just don't feel like there's anyone else like her on in the
There's
show.
no one like Disa.
Yeah. This became a Disa fan club moment apparently. You want to
Yeah.
join?